On your Daily Detroit, 46 people have been arrested in Warren as part of a major sting operation. The U.S. Steel plant on Zug Island is laying off more than 1,500 people. The 2nd Avenue Bridge over I-94 in Midtown Detroit is crumbling and closing earlier than expected. Sports betting and online gambling is legal in Michigan, and you might be able to get in the action for March Madness. And there's a Michigan company doing autonomous deliveries of your lunch. Sven Gustafson has that conversation. It's Friday, December 20th, 2019, and this is your Daily Detroit. I'm Jer Stays.
And I'm Sven Gustafson.
Let's get right to it. Police in Warren, Michigan's third largest city and the area's largest suburb, announced that 46 people have been arrested as part of a 3-day human trafficking and prostitution sting called Operation Crusade 2. 25 women and 21 men were hauled in. According to police, the prostitutes were found both addicted to and being forced to sell drugs. The suspects who were organizing the thing were from across the area, ranging from as far and wide as Grosse Pointe to Clarkston to Garden City, and range in ages from 25 to 60. All of the alleged prostitutes were between the ages of 18 and 20. 103 charges are being brought against the 46 suspects. As you can guess by the 2 in the operation name, this is the second round this year. Back in the spring, 35 people were arrested in hotels and motels in Metro Detroit as part of Operation Crusade 1. If you've been around Detroit for a while, you know about Zug Island. It's a dirty private island that's the home to U.S. Steel. Zug itself has an interesting history as a failed resort site turned industrial spot, but today the news comes that the Great Lakes Steel Mill is closing. U.S. Steel is laying off about 1,500 people, closing its steel making and iron operations by April, and by the end of 2020, the hot strip mill rolling operation will fall silent. There may still be some things going on at the site, including a warehouse, if there's customer demand, says the company. The work will shift to Gary, Indiana. U.S. Steel recently made investments there and near Pittsburgh totaling $1.75 billion. However, it's facing tough questions from Wall Street and is cutting their dividend. It seems there are multiple reasons for the closure. Tariffs didn't save U.S. Steel, as costs are still volatile, set by imports which still make up the largest amount of steel use in the country. Also, according to Barron's, the plant makes steel from iron ore and coal, but things are moving toward less expensive processes focused on recycling scrap steel. Some view the closure as having a positive aspect. U.S. Steel has been cited many times as a polluter, specifically sulfur dioxide. And as we've talked about on this show, asthma is one of the big reasons Detroit kids miss school days. Activities at the plant have resulted in millions in fines for its various owners over the years, and it's located next door to Michigan's most polluted zip code, 48217. In a story of infrastructure woes, the 2nd Avenue Bridge in Detroit's Midtown has been closed by the Michigan Department of Transportation. There are parts where you can see through the road bridge over I-94. This is ahead of a scheduled closure in February as part of a massive I-94 widening and modernization project. The bridge was built in the 1950s and last had touch-up work in 2007, but now has, quote, advanced structural deterioration, according to MDOT. The widening and modernization project will demolish a series of buildings and widen the freeway to provide more access for commuters and large trucks for the new Gordie Howe International Bridge. The plan has seen changes over the years as it was first conceived before things really took off in the area. But back to the bridges. As someone who lived over there, that whole series of spans has been neglected for decades. In fact, I used to live near the worst-rated bridge in the area, and when I walked my dog, the thing was actually crumbling to dust under her paws. These were built when the freeway was put in, and frankly, they just haven't been taken care of. So where to go if 2nd is closed? Well, as we first reported back in 2017, 3rd Avenue has also been shut down for a while. So if you're walking or biking, you have Cass, and if driving, Woodward to get over the freeway. Good luck. Sports betting and online gambling is now a thing in Michigan. Governor Gretchen Whitmer signed bipartisan legislation Friday, so we are the 20th state to legalize it. Though commercial and tribal casinos need to get licenses before they offer it to the public. The goal is to have it ready for March Madness, and if you don't know, that's the big college basketball tournament. It's expected all 3 Detroit casinos will open sports betting lounges, and MGM has already opened without offering sports betting, their Moneyline Lounge. All forms of casino games will be available online or on mobile devices from licensed casinos, but of course, you'll have to be 21 or older. The money, we're told, will go for public schools and to help first responders who get cancer from fighting fires. But it's key to note that this revenue is considered incremental. The 8.4% tax on sports betting, along with a 1.25% added tax in the city of Detroit, is expected to raise about $40 million a year. But here's some context. The budget for 2019 for K-12 funding in the state, $14.7 billion. And Michigan's tax rates on this betting are among the lowest in the country.
We don't often cover my hometown of Ann Arbor on this show, but here's a story that definitely caught our attention. Last week, a startup called Refraction AI launched an autonomous robot lunch delivery service called Rev1. The three-wheeled, battery-powered robot is now delivering lunch orders to customers within a 2.5-mile delivery zone from 4 participating restaurants. The Rev1 stops right at your curb, where you can enter a custom code to get your lunch. And joining us to tell us all about it is Matthew Johnson-Roberson. He's the co-founder and CEO. Matthew, welcome to Daily Detroit.
Thank you so much for having us.
Absolutely. So first of all, can you describe this robot to our listeners, what it looks like and so forth?
Yeah. So it comes up to about my shoulders. It's about the size of a person on a bicycle, and that's by design. So we're really trying to build something that replicates bike messengers and sort of the way that they move through a city efficiently and hopefully safely as well.
Mm-hmm. And I mentioned it's 3 wheels. How fast does this thing go? It's not traveling at like a speed of a bike messenger necessarily.
Probably go 12 to 15 miles an hour, so a pretty good clip. And so it has 3 wheels, 12 cameras, ultrasound, millimeter wave radar, and it uses all that to travel autonomously, again, through the city. And so we're really targeting this 2.5-3 mile radius, and we think that there's a lot of big wins when you're thinking about moving goods through that kind of space in terms of making things both safer, more efficient, and also eliminating the use of fossil fuel. And so we're a big advocate for thinking about how do we make cities more sustainable, have less congestion, and more effective in the sort of on-demand economy we have now.
Yeah, I want to come back to that in just a second. First of all, this is a business, of course. So tell us a little bit about how the service works, including with the restaurants that you currently have enrolled.
Yeah, so we look at the market and we realized that there was this sort of problem that existed. If you look at some of the big players, the incumbents, your DoorDash, your Grubhub, your Uber Eats, they charge restaurants upwards of 30% to deliver their food. And then they charge you as a consumer anywhere from $10 to $12 when you add in tip. And so there's a lot of money sloshing around, and in fact a lot of inefficiencies, we think. And so what our goal is to build these robots so that we can take a much smaller fee from the restaurants, and so we're a half, if not less than that, on the restaurant side, and then charge consumers far less as well. So you don't have to tip the robot, and so there's a $3 fee on the consumer side, and then again a much lower revenue share for restaurants.
Mm-hmm. How's the launch going so far? How many customers do you have, and how are people around town who see this robot kind of reacting to it?
Well, it's been great. So we've been on the road now for about 3.5 months, and so this is sort of an expansion of the 5 robots we already have driving around. But we have 300 customers in the pilot group so far, and with those restaurant partners, we're really excited to begin to scale this up and really start to make a dent in having this work. The reaction's been really positive. So everybody we deliver to, they get really excited. Often they bring their whole families out. They'll take photos, put it on the gram. It's been a really cool experience. And then on the restaurant side, it's been really great to work with them to figure out sort of what their needs are and help them, again, get food to their customers in a kind of cost-effective manner, and also in a way that's kind of exciting and different.
You are a lecturer in robotics at the University of Michigan. Is this technology something that was spun out of U of M?
Yeah, so Rom, another co-founder, and myself are both professors up there, and we do lots of different work in robotics, and so this is sort of an opportunity for us to take some of the work that we've been doing on the research side and really try to think about how do we begin to scale that. Commercialization is a great mechanism to take something that you build in the lab, but get it and have it touch the lives of many people. And that's really been our goal. We've been working really hard to try to scale this up so that, again, we can have the robots that we've been working on for a long time now really hopefully positively impact people's lives.
You were talking earlier about, lack of burning fossil fuels and so forth and filling in a need. Do you foresee other applications for this robot beyond, simply lunch delivery further down the road?
Yeah, no, we're really excited about thinking about a number of different things that you can do with this. Ultimately, what we're interested in is moving, anything physical through the kind of dense urban areas that we see in most cities, or many cities around the U.S. And ultimately, we think there's lots of kind of advantageous ways that this could be used. One thing we're thinking about is that there's sort of an increasing need for people to get things at home. You think about people that are place-bound, people that have physical disabilities. There are a lot of reasons why, people with young families, there's a lot of reasons why it's hard to get out of the house. And we'd like to make sure that we, provide a service that enables people to do things easier and cheaper than they can do now. So we're thinking about medicine. We're thinking about consumer goods, packages, a whole host of things that I think need to be moved from point A to point B. And we want to do that, again, without having to use big trucks or things that contribute to climate change or pollution.
Yeah. You launched this pilot in December, and I understand that you've actually done a lot of work to ensure that the Rev 1 can handle snow and rain and so forth.
Yeah, we've been running all winter. And so one of the big things for us is that a lot of the autonomous vehicle work that's being done elsewhere in the U.S., particularly in Southern California and Arizona, really hasn't had to tackle the challenges of the Michigan winter or really any of the winters that kind of cut across the eastern seaboard. And so, again, I think to think about scalability and something that would, affect and help to kind of change things across the U.S., you need to think about places that are beyond the sort of warm weather environments of Texas, California, and Arizona. And so that's been a big driver for us. We've been making sure the technology works in the snow and the rain and the fog and all the kind of conditions that really limit vehicle deployments elsewhere. And that's important for us, not just because this is our home, but because we think that if you want to have a big impact, you need to be able to handle more than just 85 and sunny.
Yeah. Any accidents or mishaps so far?
No, we've been really, really lucky. So the vehicle, one of the most important things for us is safety. And so one of the reasons we built the vehicle the way we did is that it's light and traveling at a slow enough speed that you can have this sort of safety margin that I think just really isn't there with larger vehicles. One of the reasons that we're able to trust the autonomy and deploy it as widely as we can is that it's really the kind of same risk profile as like an 11 or 12-year-old on a bike. Now, I think it depends on the 11 or 12-year-old you're talking about, but really from a mass and speed perspective, you're talking about not that much weight and not that much speed. And so ultimately, we think that is the way that you scale up autonomy. And, thinking about a 3,000 or 4,000 pound vehicle hurtling down the road, if something goes wrong, there's a lot of risk. And this, again, just sort of because of its nature, is just a lot safer proposition.
Finally, any plans to come to this little town called Detroit that's not too far away from you?
No, we're really excited about expanding. We think there's probably going to be a couple other deployments here in Michigan, and then we're also thinking about other states. And so, one of the things we've been looking at is thinking about how we can use all the resources that exist here within the state. And so we've had really lucky and great partnerships with tons of manufacturers and part suppliers that serve the automotive supply chain all throughout Southeast Michigan. So Detroit is definitely on our roadmap, and we're excited about not just being there, but across the U.S. and a bunch of other cities as well.
Matthew Johnson-Roberson is the CEO of Refraction AI out in Ann Arbor, now delivering your lunch. If you sign up, we'll put a link to them in the show notes. And Mr. Johnson-Roberson, thanks so much for coming on.
I really appreciate it. Thanks for having us.
And that's it for the week. Thanks to the folks behind the scenes who put their shoulder to the wheel at various times. Cheyenne Nocerini, Randy Walker, Sven Gustafson. All thank you for helping make this show go with your contributions, big and small. Also thanks to our members at patreon.com/dailydetroit. Local news that matters needs your support because, let's be honest, we can't make it up on cat videos. We hope you find this valuable and we hope you tell a friend. Of course, if you have feedback on any of our stories, story ideas, or interview ideas, get in touch with me at jer@dailydetroit.com. With that, I'm Jer Stays. Take care of each other, and I'll see you around Detroit.